Elections have consequences, and from a long enough point of view, one of the biggest consequences is what happens with the federal judiciary. And so with Donald Trump winning in 2016, we saw that he has now put 1/3 of the Supreme Court on, so that's gonna be fun for the rest of our lives. But this time Biden won, and that is already going to have a significant impact because 5 federal judges with lifetime appointments have announced plans to retire or semi-retire since last Wednesday, just the first week since Donald Trump left the White House, according to data provided by the Administrative Office of the US Courts. That's after 8 judges had already announced their plans to step down once Biden was declared the winner of the 2020 presidential election. On Tuesday, 2 more US district judges announced their plans to take senior status, which is like a sort of initiation into semi-retirement that will inevitably lead to them being retired. And so one wrote, by the way, this is US District Judge William Alsup wrote, "Congratulations on becoming our new president. I feel it's time now for me to go senior." So it seems like a bunch of these people were waiting for Trump to finally be gone. And so we're gonna have some more numbers for you, but Biden is already gonna have some vacancies that he can fill, which is the beginning of a process of trying to undo some of the damage to the judiciary that Trump was able to do over the last 4 years.
I'm just looking at the Ruth Bader Ginsburg icon you have behind you on your shelf because that was a really tough time this summer when she passed away. And I mean, of course, there's the judiciary up and down, not just the Supreme Court. So this is the time for anyone who can retire because we see what Republicans do when they get within 75 yards of the field goal, right? They go for it, and so we can't afford to play that to risk that again. No.
Yeah, and so we're gonna see that with district and appellate judges. We'll see about the Supreme Court. I don't know. I think the oldest current Supreme Court justice I think is 86 years old, which is certainly up there. The one who served the longest is Clarence Thomas, but he's a bit younger. If he were to retire, that would be significant. None of this is gonna result in the Democrats in having any sort of majority or anything like that, but it will at least be a start.
Right.
Now, let's talk a little bit about some of the numbers. 8 of the retiring judges were appointed by Bill Clinton, 2 by Barack Obama, but 5 were appointed by President George W. Bush, which means that as of Wednesday, Biden has 46 district court vacancies and 3 appeals court vacancies to fill, which is a good amount, but understand that it is not nearly as much as Trump had when he came in. The federal judiciary had 117 vacancies due to deaths, retirements, and promotions shortly after Trump took office in 2017, which is a bit more than twice as much. And that, of course, is because Mitch McConnell had stopped Obama from getting judges for what felt like years by the time the transition happened. And that meant that in the end, Trump put more than 230 people into lifetime judgeships. That's far more than Obama at 175, who served for twice as long, Bush at 206, Clinton at 204. So we're talking about 2 8-year presidencies still couldn't match up to what Trump was able to get in 4 years because of the Senate. So that's just to remind you of how much work there is to be done to try to reverse some of that damage. Damage that is already cropping up with immigration executive orders, but is gonna touch on everything, including possibly the ACA, minimum wage, Medicare for all, the Green New Deal if it ever gets proposed. A lot of these things, there are all sorts of little like landmines out there in the form of Trump judges that would love to overthrow all of it if it happened.
Yeah, there's been some significant damage, and thank you for pointing it all out. And that's why this is the damage report.
It is. For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.